Any comments and questions?
What are the parent-child dynamics in using this? I mean, so can you talk a little bit more about the, like, do I need to sit next to the kid? Are you designing it for just the kid alone? What platforms? Is it just the web? More on the product.
So there's a lot of questions there, but one is that yes, mobile was definitely an avenue, but this is solely for the web right now, because if we look at our user group right now of 200 parents, it's a private alpha group, we have not launched in public yet, but out of 200 of them, only about 30% have iPhones out of that group. So we know that when we switch totally to a mobile strategy or start with that first, we will lose a lot of people. That's the first thing.
So just one quick comment to that. I see a lot of kids holding iPhones.
Yes.
It's the best pacifier nowadays.
Yeah,
Just
it is.
put them an iPhone.
It is, yes. So we do have that coming up later, a mobile strategy coming up later. About the question on dynamics, we see this being more a parent-driven product first. So right now, we are basically solving a parent's problem.
How young do they start?
6 to 12.
6.
Yeah. So that's the age where parents take a lot of influence over their kids before the teenage years, which have proven to be too late if we teach them at that age. So what we're doing is to get parents to drive the product first. We've designed this as a parent's problem, but we realized to solve the parent's problem, we have to engage the kids first. So for the first year, we've been working on engaging the kids platform. That's why it's much more polished. But right now, we are making it more useful for the parents, by helping them manage their allowance.
Your target user base are the kids, right? And you say 6 to 12.
Kids and their parents.
And kids and parents.
Yeah.
So, but the kids have to use it. So,
Yes.
I'm interested to know how you keep. Okay, there are two questions. One is, do you have different products for different ages, or you kind of progress your product across ages? That you start with 6, and then as he progresses again to something a bit more advanced. And when you do that, then how you get the kids engaged, and how do you keep your materials fresh? How do you manage the life cycle?
Okay, it's a very, very good question that we spent a long time thinking about. One is there's no different product for different ages. This is across 6 to 12. Second thing is the product doesn't focus on curriculum. Every product out there is trying to give kids curriculum. What's interest rates? How do you save? How much money should you put aside? We are focused on behavioral action. If this can translate them actually saving for stuff, actually buying stuff, actually foregoing stuff, that is one point. So when we look at the age segment that we have tested with, from the 6 to the 8-year-olds, they are very engaged by the virtual stuff, like spin and guess, like to guess stuff with their brothers and stuff. Beyond the 8 to the 11 age, they are more interested in the real savings. So it's very interesting because we have the tool-based portion of the product and not a linear curriculum like education, that we have different parts of the product that speak to different users.
Actually, I'm trying to translate that to see whether once you capture a user, a kid at 6 years old, that means you can milk him, sorry, maybe it's a bad word, you can milk him for 6 years. That's what I'm trying to get. Or you only have him for 1 year, and then so he completed the course and that's it.
Yeah. Definitely we're trying to do a more longitudinal roadmap for the kid. But for a start, because of resource constraints, we are focusing on tool-based part which speaks to many, many ages.
So assuming what's your length of time success? Like how long do you think you need to, based on what you have right now, imprint the concept of savings onto a kid, assuming he starts at 6?
It's interesting
because you need to think about the longer term. Like the more successful you get, the more you will, depending, right? You might run yourself out of business, depending on. Yeah. It's complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. So. You're talking about, can you repeat the first question again?
So it's just a commonish question, right? I don't really know what to make of it, but I feel like I'm curious how long it takes for you. How long do you think you want to shoot for to educate a kid properly about the concept of savings? And assuming you succeed, right? And it feels almost like you're only monetizing him one-off, because it's then in a bank account, and then he's out of your.
Okay. Yes and no, because the main way we monetize is through money subscription, recurring money subscription.
I know, but that's why I'm asking how long it takes for you to teach him. So assuming I teach my kid savings in 2 years, I'll pay you 24 periods of payment, and then after that I'll stop paying because then I'll switch to the bank.
Yeah.
Right? But if you get really successful, you will shorten that period, right? Which means you make less.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then you only make money off them once, because then, in some ways, based on the current model. Right?
That is why I think there will be a shift in the revenue model. At first, we definitely start with subscriptions, but later on, even now, we're talking to, we actually had a meeting with the Federal Bank of Chicago, who might take this on and pay for the consumers to use something like that. So definitely the revenue model will change. But I think beyond this, beyond this, I think people always ask what's the whole vision of this, and I think financial literacy is just a start. Because what we're actually building is, you can call it an incentive system for parents and kids to bond together, to work on problems that require behavioral change. It's not about math and science anymore, but it's about health and financial literacy, media literacy, and I think that's where we want to go forward. Selling the company, we don't think of that yet, but I think the whole team is very, very passionate about just empowering kids, to change their families. I think that's what you see across all of them.
I'm also curious about the actual market size, because how interested are parents about the concept of saving? So let me hazard a guess, let's say 30% of parents, and then it will be how many parents are there that are internet aware or sufficiently educated on the IT side of things. That's another multiple that you hit.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you have to start.
Do you have that target market kind of demo?
Yeah, so initially when we went for all these business line competitions, we did top-down market sizing, TAM and SAM and everything, but realistically, I thought it was better to do a ground-up approach. So I have a slide, but I didn't have it today, of how we would target all the different channels in order, and from when we're starting out with our go-to-market strategies, all the Berkeley, Palo Alto parents networks, really starting from a grassroots perspective. But later on, the bigger convergence will be through banks, through retailers, through child companies that we are looking at, and we are looking at about 5 million children. That's our target.
So at the outset, are you looking at offline marketing?
Sorry?
What's your go-to-market strategy?
Right now it's through parents. Out of our parents, we call them our Moolah moms of 200 moms. They are part of all these parent communities, online and offline. So in the Bay Area, there are stuff like the Berkeley Parents Network, which is a very highbrow parents network that's very concerned about their child's education. They talk about products, they talk about strategies, and so we have evangelists in these groups that are helping us put out the word.
I have a question right here. So you might be familiar with Robert Kiyosaki
Yes.
and his famous cash flow game.
Cash flow, yeah.
So that's a board game version, which I've actually seen before, and I've actually seen a lot of my friends who are parents now actually buying that from like the bookstores and using them. Are they considered like your competitors? They're like a board game version, right? I think what James mentioned is that if the parents are like not really internet savvy, they may go through the traditional, hey, let's just sit around and play a board game. So how would you compete with Robert Kiyosaki?
We're a partner with him, that's the first thing. And we have a contact with that as well. But I think beyond that, it's very true what you mentioned, the biggest competitor we have are piggy banks. Because if you think about teaching kids about money, you go to a piggy bank. And what we're trying to do is to upgrade the concept of piggy bank. And what Robert Kiyosaki teaches is very good, is a conceptual level of investing in assets, not liabilities. But if you realize how old are the kids that are playing here? Because the youngest kid I've seen that plays cash flow for kids is 12. And that's the highest end of the market. And below that, the options they have are piggy banks, mostly driven by the parents. Piggy banks, there are money camps that you pay $5,000 to go to for 1 week. You don't learn money in 1 week. And so there's a lot of things that we've explored in the industry as well on why this problem persists. Why is there so little financial literacy in this world? And there's something that we're all very passionate about as well, which is the whole way the industry is set up. That we can go on about this, but if you look at Obama's Financial Literacy Advisory Committee, it's all staff and people from the banks, and there are a few researchers in there who showed that their methods aren't really working, but they were fired the next term. And the whole system is set up such that there's no one actually giving financial literacy the respect it deserves, and I think that's why we've gotten so much excitement over this, because we're truly concerned about solving this problem.
Okay, I'd just like to ask one question.
Yeah.
Listen, as a father of 4, I think this is a tremendous idea, and I'm right in the target market for this solution, so it's really well done. I guess what I'm interested to understand is, what is the big problem that's keeping you up at night? What is the biggest challenge that you think the business faces to move it forward?
Yeah, a lot, actually. One thing, on the operational level, I think the biggest challenge is the team, because we are so concerned with the intention of this product. A lot of investors have told us to put ads here and there, and there's always the trade-off of how much you want to make and how much impact you want to do with the right intentions. Getting the right people on the team has been the biggest challenge. We can't find enough developers who are attracted by the whole intention of this, instead of technology, being technologically glamorous or the money part of the stuff. We raised around in December, so we have expanded the team quite a fair bit. The second thing I think is mentioned by James or something about whether parents are even interested in this, because apathy is something that's hard to change, and culture is something that's hard to change. But I think we are in a very appropriate time right now in 2008, where I saw people getting lost, people all looking for a solution. The awareness was suddenly heightened that this is important, and we've gone to many conferences to really hear what the industry knows and what research there is out there, and everyone is looking for a behavioral solution that works. And I think that's where we come in.
All right, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Playmoolah. Thank you very much.